problem is that we're not
Blacks
telling
here in
the
this
kids
city have
they're
made
starting to use
significant
drugs earlier
contributions.
in life than they ever have.
Welcome to Minority Focus. I'm your host, Jimmy Moore, and I think of all the people that have ever done this show, the most enjoyable person has always been my guest today. Welcome to the show. I ain't announcing him.
How you doing, man?
Rich, how you doing,
I'm
man?
good. I'm well. You looking good?
Feeling good. Hey, as always, no, I hate you, man. I hate people with flat stomachs and stuff.
Well,
Always
man.
have, always will.
Yeah. Well, it's a little sweat equity goes into that, man. You got, it's all marketing, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's all marketing, man.
Can you get any busier?
I tell you what,
are.
man. You do what you got to do, man. And I stay pretty busy, but I'm blessed because everything that I'm doing, I love to do. It's kind of like Mike Tomlinson said about Ben Rosenberg when they asked him coming back, how they think if he's going to have to knock some rust off of him. And Mike said, guys like Ben, they love playing ball. It's in them. They do it for free. That's the way I feel about it. Man, if somebody passed a law and said, okay, city commissioners, counselors at Tillman High School, and what other job do I have? Yeah. Oh, personal training. No longer, you can't get paid. I don't want to do some of that anyway, man.
When 1450 AM 1450 first came out, the soul station out there, I was so enthused about that, but I actually called up and offered to DJ it for free.
Yeah,
because I love that.
I remember when that came on. I was we was out back, and AJ was telling me it was coming, and I was like, okay, man, because it reminded me of Orlando's McReynolds back in the day, the Mighty Mac.
I heard
we used to have him come on Sunday evenings, man. He used to say some cool things. He said, like, you don't dig his jam, you got a hole in your soul, and you don't eat fried chicken on Sunday. Stuff like that. We're going to take a pause for a worthy cause to find out what's happening around this big ball of dirt that we call the earth. Oh, he had all of us spitting that stuff, man.
I did a show back in 85, 6, 7, 8, whatever, called Pillow Talk at Kicks.
Yeah.
9 to midnight, all slow love music, whatever. And all I did was play music.
Right.
Just play music.
Right.
I didn't have any announcements. I didn't have no plugs.
Right.
Every now and then a PSA to read, but just pure music. Last year, I went to an office to take care of some VA business. Work project.
Right.
And the lady says, what have you done? And I mentioned this, and lo and behold, she didn't say, so you were the voice of Pillow Talk.
The radio is so intimate, man. Cindy and I did Safe Haven.
Yeah.
Down at WGCL.
I remember downtown.
89.3. We did a show called Safe Haven, the best in heaven's hip hop and R&B, which was Righteous and Blessed, right? Yeah. So we did that, man, and we could reach about 5 or 6 prisons in this area. And we'd get letters from some of these inmates, man. And they talk about how they got their Walkman and they're in their cell and it's lights out and they got their headphones on, and we get their letters and we'd ask them if it's okay, we read whatever. And it was always cool. Well, man, you got the headphones on. This guy said, man, it's like you guys talking directly to me, right? And radio's like that,
Really is.
So I mean, that was fun though. I used to have fun doing that. I'd borrow some Orlando stuff, and drop that baritone on them, So it was always fun.
There was a police officer here in Paducah that did this thing out of his house.
Oh, Stephon.
I wasn't going to say those names, man. I think that was illegal. Rich.
No. What did I say? William? Oh yeah, that was Jackie, man.
It was jazz.
That's who that was.
It was a jazz.
Yeah.
It was a jazz thing.
Yeah.
And it was good, but you
Yeah.
could only get it like within the next number of blocks of his house.
When it wasn't clouded.
You know, yeah. but the music was good.
No,
you know?
man. That's what I love about Paducah, man. I mean, if you grow up, I guess it's like any hometown though. When you grow up, there's characters people you remember, certain moments, and you reflect on. And I have friends that come back on the 8th of August, and they've moved to Chicago or New York or LA or wherever, and they're like, "Man, you still in Paducah?" It's like, dude, look here, I'm 50. I'm not going anywhere. This is it. This is it right here. I'm trying to make the best of what trying to make this place the best place possible by getting involved in what's going on in the community.
The last show I did, in the aftermath, or maybe during the show, I think I might have made mention of that. I know you've heard this. I don't encounter many people who have. The poem Desiderata. Go ye placidly among the earth and da-da-da-da-da. Listen to everyone, even dull and the ignorant, for they too have a story to tell. As much as possible, speak your peace without harm to others.
Right.
Part of it was a song. But that one part said, the world with all its drudgery is still a beautiful place to live. With the problems that Paducah has, as cities have. With all its drudgery and whatever else that goes on, I love this little city. I don't want to live nowhere else.
Well,
I really don't.
Last year I was Mr. Coleman, Robert Coleman, former commissioner, encouraged me to become involved in the Kentucky Black Caucus, local elected officials. There's a national Black Caucus, and the whole reason that whole organization was started was by percentage-wise, when you look at the number of African American elected officials, it's low, comparatively speaking. And Kentucky has a Black Caucus, and I became a member. Right now I'm second vice president, which you know how that works. When the president is when his term is up, first vice president moves up, and then so as long as I'm elected, and good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. In a few years, I'll be a president of the organization. But that is something that I'm very interested in, because it's all about local folks. And what we talked about at our last meeting was that the empathy that a lot of, not just African Americans, but that was the focal point of the conversation, that attitude about getting involved where they live. Sometimes you can live in a place so long, and you've heard it before over history, that's just the way things are. That's just the way they do it. And my thing is always, well, who's they? Yeah, I remember when Mr. Coleman was on the board of commissioners back in 2000, and I ran. And I would go door to door, and I'd knock on the door, man, and I would hear, a lot of African Americans were like, why are you trying to take Bob's seat? It's like, no, you're thinking about this all wrong. There's 4 seats. Mr. Coleman's trying to get one. I'm trying to get one. You pay your $50 and get a couple of signatures. There's a couple of more. I mean, So, and so that, and what I found out was, and I pretty well knew this, that it's just not Paducah when it comes to that kind of mindset. And nothing ever changes with that mindset.
Mentioned this on the last show too, that some guy named Willie something or other, back in the day, came to this area with a writ. Heard you're having problems with your slaves, and I have a foolproof formula for keeping them in check. Play the old against the young,
Right.
The big against the small,
Yeah.
house people against the field people,
Yeah.
Is that feeding in like that? Like somehow, am I associating with what you just said about going to the door and the people saying you're trying to get Brother Coleman to see?
Well, let's just rest our hat there for a second. Think about this. if we're in an environment where, like a slave environment. Let's just go back, hit the button, boom, we're back 1800 or whatever.
Nope.
All right, okay. So people start talking about the good old days. Well, that depends. That depends on where you were and who you were. But let's say, and I think you have a slave that works in the fields, okay? You have a slave, probably not always a lighter complected person working in the house. That's not always, but typically sometimes that's the way it happens. Now, the slave that works in the house has got different attire on, dresses a little better, because why? Because master's going to be entertaining and you need to know proper etiquette around the table. Now, I'm out in the fields, I'm just trying to get a couple of ham hocks and get what I need to get just to survive. Now, the guy in the house, he walks by the field on his way to market to get master's food. Walks by, look at my man over there all sweating and carrying on. And this person walking by is thinking, possibly, field blank, right? Now the guy in the fields, he's looking at this guy going to market thinking, think he better than me, right? Now here's the ironic part. They're both slaves, right? I mean, either one could be sold at the drop of a hat, or anything else that went along with that lifestyle could happen to them. So fast forward. You walk, and I think I don't think, I know, it's more of a human thing than anything else. As much as we try not to, to some degree, we judge each other. And we all agree we shouldn't do that. Look at Jimmy. Think he all that because he got that little car. You know? Yeah.
10 years old.
Yeah. I think, he think he's some, oh, look at Abe, just because he on the council, he think he all that. I don't have that kind of attitude at all. But I think sometimes you look at that and you're like, where did that come from? Where did that come from? Well, I read that paper that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was some pretty gruesome stuff.
Yeah, really.
And this guy said, if you implement this right, you can affect the way these people think for 300 years.
Sure did.
Right? So that's a total breakdown of a person's self-esteem and all of that. That's why verbal abuse and things like that are so detrimental when you visit that upon someone, especially folks that are that are weaker or in a position of doesn't have any authority.
I'm thinking
let's
adult
say.
to child.
A child, or you talk about abuse with domestic issues. I've seen so many young ladies that see them. I work in Tillman, and I'm sure it's just like any place else. You see kids come through, and they're so energetic, and they're so taking the initiative, doing things, and doing all these clubs, and got a 3.0 or 4.0, whatever. And you see them, and they're going to college, and then you see them like a year or two later, and you're like, hey, what's going on? And they're hooked up. They picked the wrong guy. I tell my girls all the time, man, the good ones look just like the bad ones, man. You can't tell by looking.
For sure.
For
sure.
So, I mean, so the proverb, the poem that you mentioned, you got to watch what you say, man, how you treat people.
Sure. I insist on opening doors, car doors, whatever, for any and every female. If my 10-year-old niece rides somewhere with me, she knows to stand at that door, because I done got on her so often,
Right.
and to let me open that door for her.
Right.
Feel and appreciate what it's like to be treated like a lady.
Yeah,
and there was a movie. Did you see that movie where this guy, the guy of some nationality, German, what I'm not sure, fell in love with a black girl, and his uncle was his advisor, and his uncle says, take her out and You put her in the car first. Lock the doors. You open her door, you put her in, and you walk around the back. And if she doesn't reach over to unlock your door, dump her. You know, because she's not thinking about you. She only cares about herself. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
There's lessons you teaching it.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Is this your granddaughter? Or no, who is it you said?
My niece.
Your niece?
My niece.
Man, you know, this is 2011, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be sitting in that car waiting on this guy's going to be in the restaurant. She's not leaving.
This is the but here's how you break it. Here's Mama Jago.
Right.
Used to do this to me.
Yeah.
I take her to Kroger, my mother-in-law. I take her to Kroger and sometimes forget.
Right.
And get out and be almost in the store and look back and she'd just be sitting there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, she wouldn't let me go on in the
Right,
store or whatever,
right.
but you're going to come back out,
Right.
open this door for me.
Right.
If they don't insist, demand
Right.
that a guy treats them like a lady appropriately, he ain't going to do it.
You know, those are life lessons, man. You know, we may get, well, this is 2011 and we're in this big social network age and you're texting and things. And, you know, I'll tell my daughter all the time, I say, you know, write your friend a letter. You know, just take the time, you know, because a letter is so much more intimate than a text. You know, a text is like, it's like antiseptic, man. It's like the smell of a hospital. You know, you go in there and just everything is white and alcohol, and you know it's gonna hurt. You know, you don't want those. But write a letter, man. And so, in this crazy, mixed up, busy world, man, I think, like everybody's busy. Everybody is sleep deprived. Everybody is, you know, and we all agree we need to slow down a little bit and try to smell the roses, if you will.
Right. My mom wrote with a pen that you dip in ink and
right, quill.
Quill pen.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful penmanship I've ever seen in my life. She was picture perfect with it. She could lay that pen down and go about wherever, and we needed a pen for something, a pen or whatever. And grab a pen. She always knew that someone had used it.
Right.
Because she was so perfect about it.
Right.
And in our house, she taught school in our house. You remember the pieces of the squares they used to put up on all around the walls of a school with the proper
cursive. How to make right.
I saw something on TV the other day that kids don't know how to write cursive no more.
Oh man, I got one for you. You see that clock up there, that big face clock? All our kids now are digital, man. It's 8:45. That means what? There's an 8:45. This kid asked me, he's like, Miss Abraham, what time is it? I'm looking around. Like, it's right there right there. He looks up at it. He goes, okay, but what time is it? I'm like, so you can't tell time, can you? I was like, are you kidding me, man? Wow. And this kid goes, what? Either my watch, my phone, or my tape player at the house. There's no big face clocks in my house.
Kid comes in the post office a couple of years ago. I'm at the window.
Yeah.
And somehow he lets me know that he's in his second year at West Kentucky.
Right.
Gospel. He did not know the proper format for addressing an envelope. He's written out the person's name he's sending it to, and then do I put this next? The street address?
Yeah. Did you help him out?
Yeah, I helped him out. I helped him out.
I mean, you get those opportunities. Okay, I'm going to help you out, brother. This is my moment. Thank you, God. Right? I'm going to help this kid out. Right? But it's our job to try to help him out and not laugh too much. But
the small things. Is it the small things that we're missing? Like, I use a dictionary.
Always.
I don't want to look it up on the internet.
Right, I got it on my desk.
Yeah.
But you don't need that. You got spell check, man. Yeah. You don't have to know how to spell. Just hit it. Boom, boom, boom. It's perfect. Send it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, this may be expedient, but are you really? Do you know what that word means?
It's like
I don't know.
It's like losing battle.
You lose a little bit of yourself, but it's up to us to try to remind these guys that you really need to learn. Not just write, copy, paste. You really need to learn this stuff, man.
Working with young people and like that. How do you keep from being old school, old dude, later, not out of touch?
Yeah, well, I try to remember, working with those guys every day, I try to remember that they're 14 and 15 years old. Because when you get in a situation, you see some kid do something totally stupid, man, and you think, why did you? Okay, you're 15. That frontal lobe is not fully developed yet, so you're thinking a little different. So this is to help. I'm not chewing you out. This is to help you. I try to keep that in the forefront of my mind. They don't know, man. They don't know. They think they know. And they'll tell you real quick that they're grown. And I tell them, grown people don't ride big yellow buses to school. That's you're not grown yet.
My nephew came to the house a couple of weeks ago. He's in his 30s.
Right.
And he walked in first. Mm-hmm. And two female friends of his were behind him. Mm-hmm. And instantly, what are you doing walking in the house in front of these ladies? You do. And he turned to them and said, I told you.
Yeah. So that conversation happened on the way up. Watch this. I guarantee you, Uncle gonna get me, right? Well, that's good though. That's good. Those are simple things. Those are simple things that mean a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Relationships, man. I tell people all the time, we're not islands unto ourselves. We are a people of relationships, which means if you think there's an area of your life that's out of control and you think that it's not going to affect some other part of your life, we're fooling ourselves, right? Because that's the way we are. The ripple effect will continue to roll. Well, that's the same thing on the positive side, And when you start talking about being intimate and wanting to show someone how much you care, it's those little things, and they're not expensive, right? It won't cost you anything but some time and some sincerity, man.
Across the board, my mom used to say, whatever the good is that you are, there are people who will love you for that good, admire you, and respect you for what you are. And on the same token, there are people who hate you for the good you do, the good you are.
My dad passed away when I was 16 years old, and he was 47. He had leukemia, and he was down in Nashville at the hospital. He told me, he said, the only thing you have is your name. You can be as the richest man in town and be a jerk, and people will know that. Or you can be as poor as a church mouse and have favor because the way you conduct yourself. Right. And man, that has served me well. I mean, you're not perfect, but you try not to do damage because that's your title, that's your name. So not that we're perfect, but we try to learn from our mistakes, and then and people see that sincerity, man. Right. Most people are forgiven. I like to think that.
Right. I might have mentioned this before on the show, I don't know. But when I was 17, I got in trouble and got put in jail. Mm-hmm. And my mom came and got me out. That was in the early 70s, I guess. Mm-hmm. She passed in 1988. Mm-hmm. The only time I ever saw or heard anything from her about that. She came and got me out of jail, brought me home. Right. Only time I ever saw or heard anything about it. The morning after she got me out of jail, there was a clipping on the wall out of the Ann Landers car unit. Mm-hmm. And it said basically what you just said. Your father gave you his name. And when you give it to your son, will it be clean? Will it be?
Yeah, that's heavy.
That's all I ever heard. And that's all it took.
Yeah, that's heavy stuff, man. That's heavy stuff. I mean, we try here in Paducah. We got our problems, but they're not LA problems. They're Paducah problems. They're not Chicago problems. And we try to do it, but the only way we're going to do it and do it well is that everybody has to participate with your role. Find your role, whether you're writing a letter to the editor or you're running for office or you're on a call-in show stating your opinion, how you feel. Find something that you can do that you're comfortable doing and participate in the process, man, because you look around, there's no other help coming. We're in this thing together, and the only way we're going to get out of it is if everybody pulls together and enough of us pull together. and help out each other.
Right. I don't know, but that people should be. Proverbs 22 has a double edge, I think. Respect your parents that your days may be longer. And at the same time, parents, do not provoke your children. We focus a lot on what we do with the children, but I wonder sometimes if we need some kind of programs for grown people, to teach them some things about what they're, and they do it mindlessly.
Right.
I may have done it time too myself.
Right.
Like, when you have the car because you're going to repossess it, the kid sees you do that.
Right.
And when you tell them to be quiet when the bill collector's at the door, you taught them something.
Yeah,
A way that's not going to be good for them. So
yeah.
maybe grown folks need to be
Yeah.
beat upside the head a little bit.
It's tough being a responsible parent. You're not. Sometimes I used to tell my girls, hate me now, love me later. I'm cool with that. I'm not your butt. I'm your father. Right. I love you. But I got to make sure to give you what you need so you can stand on your own 2 feet. And those are some ground principles that you will reflect on and you will implement. You may not think you will, but you will. And my grandson is 8 months old, and I told my daughter the other day, I said, I was talking to her, she's like, you're always trying to do this, and I'm not 5, I'm not, I'm like, oh, I told her, I said, you know what? You're at the beginning of this thing. Nolan is 8 months old. But I guarantee you, I may not be here to see it, but you're going to go, Nolan, you should really do, and he's going to look at you and go, why you always raining on my parade, right? I guarantee you that's going to happen.
It's coming.
That's going to happen, Unless you're truly special.
My kids used to say, I spanked them. I always took them in the bathroom.
Right.
Stand them, talk to them for a few minutes, tell them why.
Right.
Full explanation.
Right.
Turn them down,
Boom,
take
boom.
care of business.
Right.
And then, as soon as it was over, anybody want to go for ice cream?
Right,
Whatever.
right.
They told me years later they hated me for that. Bottom still burning. He talking about go get some
But
ice cream.
see, when you discipline a child like that, it's to correct a behavior. It's not because you're ticked off and you're mad and, kids go, well, I didn't cry. Son, I'm not trying to make you cry. I'm trying to teach you a lesson here. It's not about making you cry to show that I'm a big man because I made you cry.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I think it's about time for me to do another show on spanking them rascals.
hey,
Time out. Count to 3. Or count to, no, I ain't counting to 4. I used to tell my son, if I ever hear your mother tell you to do something 3 times, I'm going to forget for a few seconds that you're my son.
Yeah.
When she speaks, you move. Now, not,
when daddy walks in and talks to you, I'm going to tell you the same thing your mom been telling you all day?
Y'all want to know how to handle these children. Y'all check me and Richard. Me and Richard got it down.
That's right.
I love you, Richard, man.
Hey, love you too, bro.
I do, man. Be glad when you can get back sometime. I have a busy schedule.
We can do it.
Holler a few minutes. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. For Minority Focus, I'm Jimmy Moore.